If you're a comedian, you have to protect free speech.
Yeah.
There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And when it comes to this argument, the Biden administration was terrifying for free speech. They were actively attacking people that were posting truth on social media.
You know there's fraud, and Medicare and Medicaid the American people have sensed this, and they feel like there's corruption, but I think they've just hopelessly kind of surrendered, because I'm a middle class mom who works, who has a kid, who has time to fight this?
Joe Rogan lit into the Democrats in a recent episode with comedian Bridget Fedozzi. He blasted their focus on woke politics, saying it's dragging the country in the wrong direction. Rogan called out what he sees as hypocrisy and corruption, arguing that instead of tackling real problems like the economy or healthcare, they waste time on culture wars that most Americans don't care about. Fedozzi agreed, pointing out that regular people are tired of being lectured by a small group of activists who dominate the conversation. The discussion was sharp, unfiltered, and exactly the kind of straight talk that's made Rogan's show so popular.
A big part of the whole left-wing narrative that has overlaid our country over the last 8 years, 10 years, is all propaganda funded by our own government.
That's right.
This is why Trump won the election. People don't really believe in these things. The amount of people that think that transgender biological males should be competing against your daughter in sports is so small.
Yeah.
But yet our own government was propping it up. And why are they propping it up? Because it's a beach ball at a concert. You keep it tossing up in the air and everybody's distracted.
Joe Rogan nailed it. The government didn't just support transgender politics, they used it as a distraction. While people argued over pronouns and bathrooms, the real problems were ignored: a shaky economy, rising crime, and a border out of control. Democrats pushed culture wars to look like progressives, but it was really a way to cover up failures that hurt everyday Americans.
You can keep a few things going. Here's the things you got to keep going. Abortion, right? Gay marriage, that's a huge one. They're going to take away gay marriage. Oh my God, bounce that beach ball. In the meanwhile, they're just siphoning billions of dollars. Zelensky just said he's missing $100 billion in the $177 billion that we supposedly sent there.
That was something weird too about Haiti, where it's only 2% of the money actually went there. It's great. Americans give away a lot of their hard-earned money because they are actually kind-hearted and want to donate to countries that are, and then you find out it's some trans performance. There is a lot of nonsense.
A lot of nonsense.
Joe Rogan just dropped a bombshell. He argued that Democrats staged endless woke distractions while quietly funneling billions from disaster relief into political projects. This wasn't sloppy, it was planned. Keep the headlines filled with culture wars, and no one asks where the money went. Now whistleblowers, digital receipts, and even Elon Musk are exposing the trail. What used to be dismissed as conspiracy talk is now backed by evidence, and it leaves Americans wondering if they pulled this off for years. What else is still hidden under the surface?
They talk about it oh, who cares? It's only $10 billion. You're you guys are out of your minds if you think that's going to be the argument that resonates with Americans.
Not only that, how are you going to say that?
Who cares if they're pointing out $10 billion? Because they'll be oh, look at the trillions over here. But all of those billions add up. How are you even saying that?
The Democrats were exposed. Their reaction was predictable. Instead of facing the facts, they pointed at Trump and claimed his team was worse. Their defense sounded like, yes, we took some, but he took more. They tried to sell the idea that corruption was normal, arguing that if trillions vanished under Trump, then losing a few $100 billion now wasn't a big deal. But Americans didn't buy it. The evidence was too strong, and no amount of finger-pointing could cover it up this time. They couldn't hide behind Trump. The spotlight was directly on them, and the excuses didn't work.
Grateful that you had me on MAGA State Media. Thank you for allowing me.
You had to get that out.
Because I see it all the time. All the time. And it's hilarious to me in light of how much money goes to funding, sponsored by Pfizer. All of these other, the audacity to accuse you, who just has people you like on your podcast, to suddenly be state media when you literally have had state media working with the state in conjunction for a decade.
Yeah, at least, and probably.
Here's where things get interesting. Critics on the left love to brand Joe Rogan as some kind of MAGA mouthpiece, as if his podcast were a hidden Republican media outlet. But anyone who's actually listened knows that's not the case. Rogan's just a guy with a microphone who brings on guests from every side of politics and lets the conversation flow. No scripts, no party line, just open talk. The real twist: the same people calling him dangerous have been backed for years by the biggest media outlets in the country: MSNBC, CNN, 60 Minutes, NPR platforms that often echo Democratic talking points. Yet somehow Rogan, sitting in a studio running unscripted interviews, is painted as the threat.
Got thrown in the fire, so we got to see how this thing works.
I voted for him.
I did too.
I came out
openly. I endorsed him. I was like, this has got to stop. This is crazy. Also, he's not what you guys said he was. He's just not.
I was Hillary in 2016, no one in 2020, and Trump in 2024. So I don't care how people vote. When people do whatever you want. I was only being honest, and it was weird to come out and say that as a comedian, because I don't think that comedians should really be political. But on the other hand, it felt dishonest because I had been so openly kind of torn about voting for him.
Joe Rogan didn't drift right by accident. The left became too toxic. What started as a hopeful movement turned into double standards and speech policing. For Rogan, the breaking point was when he questioned the COVID vaccines. The media rushed to smear him, painting him as reckless and mocking him over horse medicine. It wasn't about debate. It was about silencing him. That's why so many walked away. The left stopped defending free speech and started controlling it.
We're actively attacking people that were posting truth on social media and attacking them and trying to get their posts removed, including the guy who was the one who was quoted in this book about Kamala Harris, saying that we made it difficult for her to come on the show, and they told a untrue story about having a bunch of people come down here to do a run through the set like they were ready to do it. All bullshit. That was the guy. He was the guy that was emailing Twitter and saying, how's this post, being super aggressive, saying, why is this post still up? Oh, you mean that truthful post?
Yeah.
About vaccine injuries and side effects?
Here's what Rogan was calling out. When pressure started building for Kamala Harris to appear on his podcast, her team spun up a story. First, they claimed Rogan wasn't ready to host them. False. Then, they doubled down, saying they stopped by his studio during the campaign, but were turned away because Trump was already booked. Yes, Rogan interviewed Trump, but Harris's team never reached out. No invite, no email, nothing. It wasn't a scheduling mix-up. It was a cover story to avoid embarrassment. And that's the pattern. When the left gets cornered, they don't just dodge the truth, they rewrite it.
Interviewed many detransitioners. Those interviews keep me up at night. They haunt me. There's too many of them already, and one is too many. And I think a lot of Americans were like, we're putting a stop to this. We have to stop this nonsense. It's crazy. We're sterilizing children. The other thing is free speech. And I was like, when we're talking in our weird, using that crazy YouTube language that you have to use, unalived, and you're saying the jib jab or whatever, to get around, that's coming from one side.
This is why people are fighting wokeism. Detransitioners are coming forward, saying they were sold lies about empowerment that left them scarred, and betrayed wokeism promised freedom, but delivered harm, and its leaders still won't take responsibility.
And what it is is an enormous slush fund.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
And unaccountability and money just coming and going and flowing. And it's
circular.
All circular. Donating to the Democrats. The United States government funds them. They donate to the Democratic Party. The whole thing is wild.
And people can sense this. This is why when they're saying, oh, it's like you can sense that there's been a misappropriation of our money, of taxpayer dollars. You know there's fraud in Medicare and Medicaid. The American people have sensed this, and they feel like there's corruption, but I think they've just hopelessly kind of surrendered.
Beyond the endless stream of woke policies, the Biden team has faced serious accusations of deep corruption, not small stuff. Critics say huge institutions like Medicaid and USAID were turned into money pipelines to keep the political machine running. All the while, they preached about integrity and transparency, presenting themselves as the moral compass of the nation. But behind the polished speeches, the picture looks very different. The same people claiming the high ground are accused of being knee-deep in schemes that make their opponents look tame. Publicly, it's virtue signaling. Privately, it's deal-making. And Americans are finally starting to see through it.
Argument is that the internet is right wing, and that this is why Trump won, is because all of these influencers are red pilling people, and not, it's an easy way to not take any responsibility for how you've pushed men away from your party, how you've failed to get moderates in any sense of the way. Even just yesterday, you had the Trump photo op with him signing the rights for women to compete against just women. That is how
Crazy.
did you? Yeah. How
He's
did you
the big
lose
feminist.
that?
Donald Trump's the biggest feminist president.
Trump's comeback has Democrats on edge. They've been waiting for a stumble, one mistake they could spin into a scandal, but it hasn't happened. Instead, Trump's been racking up wins, controlling the conversation, and leaving his critics scrambling. They wanted chaos, but they're watching competence. They wanted disaster headlines, but polls are shifting in his favor. Publicly, Democrats act confident. Privately, they're reworking their playbook, worried this isn't going according to plan. The real fear isn't that Trump will crash. It's that he won't. As long as he stays sharp, their attacks lose power. Their talking points fall flat, and voters start noticing results instead of spin.